Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. You know, I'm about to give this speech, and you're going to think that I just sat here and took notes from Liz, from Dale, from Rick. But I think you're going to hear a lot of common themes here, so we all must be thinking along the same lines. Well, welcome back from the field. It's a real delight for me to be with you today in a formal celebration of your energy, your spirit of adventure, and your generosity. And it's not without some envy that most of us welcome you home, despite the mosquitoes, the bad hair days, and the, and the naivete of some of the people you met. We wish we had been working alongside of you. But now your venue shifts and it gets a little trickier. How do you explain to your friends and family at home just what happened to you? What resonated at your heart level? I'm not talking about the miles of trails built and the hours on your feet and the tourists greeted and our mountains bested, whereas those are all very impressive. Or about your new culinary skills that you developed in putting together things that were not found in most kitchens, although I'm sure those are impressive as well. I'm talking about how you convey the essence of your SCA conservation journey. Giving context and meaning to events as unique as yours can be very challenging. And there's several layers on which you can relate. But it's all about relationships. Relationships with your companions, with your own self, your physical being, and with the land. And each successive layer gets a little more challenging to talk about. Explaining what you experienced based on sharing tales about the fun you had with your companions is probably the easiest way to convey a sense of what was happening in these past months or year. Living and working in close quarters with the same group of people for more than a few weeks always leads to some very interesting dynamics and revelation of unique idiosyncrasies, like the sweet guy who just couldn't get into washing his socks, and the one who always ate some really god-awful looking stuff but swore that it tasted really, really great. And did you ever get the chance to figure out how come some people in your team always looked really tidy? And you were throwing off dirt before you even started working. I expect some of you honed your entrepreneurial skills by learning that if you hoard your chocolate until the very end of the hitch, that you can trade it for anything that you want. So the hilarious stories, the trying moments, the strength of friendships formed, all hold the memories that you've built together. And these stories of human relationships are easy for us to relate to, us people here back at home. And we can gain a context of your experience by hearing them. But what about the next layer down? What happened to you physically? What your body taught you about your place, and what place taught you about your body. Your muscles got stronger. Your skin got richer in vitamin D, and you adjusted to a different climate. But you also got to know the areas you worked in viscerally. Every one of your senses tuned in and turned on. You watched these lands you've connected with move from day to night, observed its creatures from antlions to elk, felt its heat and cold slip into your skin, heard the rustling of its many inhabitants, sometimes probably too much rustling, sheltered under its rocks and trees, or under its trees and rock outcrops, and slept on the flanks of its hills and valleys, and tasted its berries, and delighted in the splash of cool, fresh streams. And you smelled it. Wet earth, fresh leaves, rising heat drawing fragrant resin from pines, perhaps even the musk of deer from their recently vacated beds. Your nose even learned to tell you the time of day. Does early morning smell like the afternoon in a desert or the woods? No way. But how do you explain that to someone who's never even contemplated that there was a difference? And now one more layer, the hardest to articulate, but perhaps the most pressing, that you find the words and the actions that brings your heightened awareness to life. And not just about this particular summer or past year, but how your SCA work has honed your attunement to the land, and how important that it is that as individually and as a society, that we treat it with the respect that it so richly deserves. How can you explain to us folks back home what grew in your heart? That you've brought back with you an expanded sense of what it means to be with the land, not just on it, passing through, or using it. How do you explain the new relationship, this deepening friendship between you and the land, and how this has changed you? And that for the lands that we love to continue to flourish, the rest of us need to change. To awaken that sleeping memory of what it means to be of the land, or, as Leopold said, by the land. To respect the land and its rich abundance of life-affirming and life-sustaining services. To treat it like the treasure that it is. What I'm talking about is recognizing what most people really want and need from the dwindling acres of undeveloped country. And it's not just goods and services like timber and energy and a picnic table. And it even goes beyond natural capital. It's the priceless gifts to the heart. We humans deeply desire rich and unique experiences from landscapes, to create memories from them and share them with people we love. We crave natural beauty, meaning, the ability to find solitude in nature. We want to explore the history of the land, the cultures that preceded us, and to leave our own legacy of unfettered landscapes for future generations.